It has been too long, everyone. Welcome to Verizon VALORANT Game Changers Series 2. I am your host, Elizabeth, and I'm joined by some of the best gentlemen in the business. It is Van Silly and Bala here with me on the desk because we're all about some game changers and all about that. Oh, he's dancing. He's dancing. He's dancing.
Okay,
He's going for
I
it.
didn't know, dude. I didn't know.
Oh,
I'm
you know,
into
there
this.
you go. Look at you go.
Oh, no, I'm doing some moves for the 70s now.
Why do we get cringe right away?
You started it. I'm just continuing.
But in all seriousness, we are here to talk about Series 2 of Game Changers. If you missed Series 1, well, don't worry, we can catch you up on that. But the stakes... Oh!
What happened? Wait, what happened?
You're good. This,
Did I flash out?
You flashed out for a little bit, but you're back.
That's standard Van Silly.
All good. But the stakes are a little bit higher this time. But GC at large, if you guys aren't familiar, if this is your first time watching Game Changers, first of all, welcome. We are so glad you're here. Happy to have you join us. What you did miss is that there was a series before this. There's a series now. We're in Series 2. Don't laugh, I'm telling the truth. And there's a Series 3 after.
Dude, we did so much research.
I worked on this all night. But in Series 2 is a double elimination bracket with 8 teams. As you can see, the point values have increased from stage 1 to stage 2. First has 80, second has 65, third 50. You can read. All there. But all of this to say, Bala, it is all cumulative. It all will add up, and that all matters because there's no last chance qualifier for GC champs. It is all coming down to these 3 stages.
Yeah, it absolutely does matter. I mean, especially in NA, the past few years that we've had the international at the end of the year, it has mattered. And you'll eventually have a team, either Shopify ends up winning down the line and the team will come out of circuits, or it all becomes wacky in the first place. So I think with teams in Series 1 already starting off, you're looking at a team like FlyQuest, you're looking at a team like Passion Project. Those teams are accumulating those points. They're getting close. That's the sort of thing where you really, really need to be getting up there because all likelihood, Shopify will win at the end of the year in Series 3 and get that call. So it's all
most likely. It usually happens that way, right? You have, what was it, version X before, version 1 before, and then Shopify Rebellion. And then Shopify Rebellion and an EG. But now that there's no EG and there's a FlyQuest, it's a Shopify Rebellion, but the FlyQuest and everybody else is still kind of close. So there's an opportunity now, especially with the number of circuit points you can get on stage 2 and 3, to actually potentially steal that spot away from a team like FlyQuest.
I do think, we're all about kind of just the parity of the scene. I was talking to Mel a bit last week, and she said, the parity of the scene has never been better. And she said to me, if I asked her, I was like, if there was someone coming into Game Changers for the first time, what would you want them to know? And she said, don't sleep on the free agent teams. Don't sleep on them because they're some of the best teams we have. We've talked about Passion Project. We can talk about so many teams that we have qualified for this event, which most of them are free agent teams, which is very, very exciting. We have a graphic coming up right now. Look, we see some signed teams. We have Shopify Rebellion and FlyQuest, but then you have, Passion Project, Floppers, Solstice, Bezos Millionaires, Teddy Tactics, and Reformed, which is Vansilly. When you look at this is just awesome for the scene altogether because you have so many teams coming together who aren't signed by organizations and just playing well and making it here.
100%. I think the one that really sticks to in front of my eyes is the reformed GC roster because they actually won the open qualifier number 3 by beating FlyQuest in that open qual. So there's definitely possibilities right now for these unsigned teams to find opportunities to really make a mark and hopefully continue a good career here for the Game Changers in North America. Overall, I think even looking at some of the teams that are currently unsigned in this closed series, literally we're going to see some closed series between some of these teams. So I'm actually really looking forward to this.
Yeah, I think to Mel's point, you could always tell the amount of free agent teams by the level of the graphic designers that show up for each individual season.
What are you talking about?
These logos are awesome. I mean, every time it's so good. No, but she's absolutely right. You can't sleep on these teams that are coming up. We have a lot of them now, and you're seeing a lot of new blood, right? And that makes it really difficult to keep your finger on the pulse about who's good, who's the sleepers, right? Who are the ones who, when they end up gelling, when they end up getting a couple wins under their belt in the main event, are gonna go on a run like EG did at the end of last year, right? Like those types of teams are really hard to actually account for when they are free agent teams, when they are teams who haven't made it to a main event yet, when they are teams who are really just coming up and kind of hugging it to this level.
Well, now since we've talked about the teams, gentlemen, I have a task for you. Are you
no,
ready?
No, I mean, depends what it is. Like,
Bala,
I'm
you're
always ready.
familiar with
That's
this
why I'm
one.
here.
Yes, exactly. All right. Well, we're going to do my favorite thing, which are power rankings. Now, we have 8 teams. You just saw the graphic. Don't owe me. We're having a great time. You
Yeah,
just
of
saw the
course. I'm
graphic.
down.
I'm going
I'm
to
down.
ask you, gentlemen, to rate the teams. 1 being the highest team, like the best team in your eyes, and
Okay.
8 being lowest. The catch is there's a timer. You have a limited amount of time. So use your time wisely. And okay, go.
Okay, so I guess, wait, what is going on? What do we have?
I'm just filling in the important teams in the power rankings. I was just gonna
Okay,
go ahead
okay.
from 1 to. No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
So I'll
man.
just add the top then right now to make sure.
That doesn't
as well,
make any
right?
sense.
So-
That doesn't make any sense. Let's start off real. Okay, clear this out. Let's figure this out. Okay, we got 8 teams, Vans. Pick another one. Number 2.
Number 2, actually, I don't know if you agree with me, Bala, but I'm going with Passion Project for this one as well.
No.
What do you mean no?
No. Nope.
There's been just so many open qualifiers from this game series 2 that they just always finish second place for FlyQuest. So I just feel that this is going to continue.
Okay, so
on
they
where-
should finish second place right here. What do you
no,
mean?
because they
Like, what are you
lost. They
talking
lost
about?
against Passion Project already in the open qualifiers number 2. And I'm not gonna say, oh, because they lost, they're actually worse for wear or whatnot. But I just feel that Passion Project literally is a passion project that gels so well throughout the other qualifiers that they should be still in this number 2 position. They still have some great firepower on this team, some all-star players on this team. Remember, Jazzican's still in this right now, so Power Pixele as well from old EG. I think Passion Project definitely has what it takes here to upset FlyQuest and get the second place. But I mean, tell me why they should be.
All right.
A little more than a minute left. Don't tell them. Keep on going.
Oh, okay.
I was gonna say I agree, okay, and I was gonna move on.
Okay, fine.
Let's go to number 4.
I
This
won!
one is where it gets difficult. I think my mind immediately goes straight to some of the teams, like a team that we've seen a lot of before, like Reformed. Obviously, different types of rosters that are coming through the main events frequently, but that's where I want to land on Reformed in 4th here, and then 5th through 8th gets a little dicey because I think most of the teams are teams that are mixes of people who've made it here before. But we got to go quick.
I disagree with you. I'm going with floppers as the 4th.
I mean, yeah, that's kind of goated choice.
Yeah, they've been together for the longest time. May look like because they're
Gentlemen, 30
unsigned
seconds.
that they're actually just like pugging it out, but
hear
it's
that? I hear
Supernova
a voice in
Galaxy,
my head
it's
that-
YPX. I don't know. I'm hearing stuff too,
God.
so I'm just gonna keep going. I don't care. Right now, they had Trollman as a coach. Of course, they lost their coach, but I still think that they look like a good team as a core. So keep an eye on that. Supernova Galaxy / YFPX is the floppers team right now. They won the Complexity Cozy Clash in the offseason, and they're gonna make a mark this time around.
Okay,
Dude,
well,
only 10 seconds actually. 5
Fine,
seconds.
fine. I'm
Phil,
going Reformed.
Phil,
I'm just filling
Phil.
things out. I'm going to go
Phil,
Heady
Shopify for
Tactics
the
in
rest.
6th. I'm going to go Solstice, and then the Mezos Millionaires. Is that?
How are you gonna put the richest team at the bottom?
Well, they got to start from somewhere, right? Rags to
Money
riches.
can't buy
Like, what are
you
we
They're
talking
at
about?
the top. They're millionaires.
Yeah, but like, all right, bro. All right, Jeff Bezos is the best in the world. Like, what are we talking about? Like,
No, okay, I'll agree with you. I think Teddy Tactics,
how's Shopify
despite them
still
having
here,
like,
man?
I don't know why you
There
put
we
where
go.
you putting
Solstice.
Shopify there, dude.
I got it. No, it's my fault.
It was
bro.
an S
It's just-
because it was an S and an S you can't read. Is that what it is?
That's crazy to say on broadcast, fans.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean that.
Killed me,
I take it back. Bala, I love you. I apologize.
All right, voice,
apologize.
headless voice. Please save us.
All right, bring me. I need a breakup, boys. Break it up.
Wait, this makes sense, right?
It
Liz?
is an acceptable, understandable list. I think I would have some specific things I would change here
Okay.
and there, but I'm not mad at any of it.
Good thing
per
you're the
se.
host, and we don't care about your opinion.
Just a quick reminder of who runs this game, Bala. Just a quick reminder who does.
I remember the last time I came out. Yeah. Okay. Anyway.
Oh, dude,
Have we
this-
learned our lesson? No. Anyways,
Apparently not.
but enough of that. Now we are. We would love to hear your opinions on the power ranking. If you think they are perfect, they're absolutely the best, smartest gentlemen alive,
Definitely
or if you
are.
think they got it completely wrong, use the hashtag VCT Game Changers to make your own power rankings. Because I would love to hear what you guys have to say. But just in case you don't know, here is the bracket of who. Oh, okay. So here is the bracket of the teams that are playing. We showed you the graphic, but here is how they'll be playing. Today's games that we'll be showing on stream are FlyQuest versus Solstice, and then Reformed versus Mesos. We have a secondary stream that you can watch where you can watch Teddy Tactics and I believe Passion Project.
Yeah. Yep.
You can go support them there as well. We love all of our teams here, but this is a scary looking bracket, Bala.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, that Passion Project Teddy Tactics game is gonna be good. Like, and also a barometer on I think the entire bracket, right? Like Vance is talking about Passion Project potentially being the second best team here, but that's the thing, right? We never know, and I think Teddy Tactics has been a team that's grinding consistently over and over and over, and they're getting up there. So that's definitely could be a barometer on potentially what could be a runner-up or third place type of thing, a challenger to Shopify.
Yeah. And me to add on, actually, my game to watch is potentially here this Floppers and Shopify Rebellion again, because there are a team that's been putting a lot of upsets throughout the offseason against other teams, but also if you're looking at Shopify's plays when they actually play in the open qualifier too, they're also dropping maps here and there, so they're not necessarily untouchable now, and this is a great opportunity to have some of these unsigned teams show what they're made of, and if they're able to put a good fight against Shopify Rebellion and still, you know, let's say lose on a 3-map series, but they're close, it adds a lot of value to teams like Floppers.
I mean, we've been talking about it all desk, it seems like, and Mel talked about it when I talked to her earlier. Do not count out the free agent teams. They're probably going to give you some of the best games, some of the best plays, because remember, some of them might have real life jobs, might have other obligations, so they are not paid to play the game. They're going to give you some of the best performances you will ever see. But there are free agent teams, but there are some signed teams, including FlyQuest Red. FlyQuest Red have been kind of there's Shopify and then there's FlyQuest. You have these two excellent signed teams, and FlyQuest Red has really made a name for themselves in the GC scene. You know, we had EG last year, some of EG is here now, obviously, but Bala, FlyQuest Red have really just been grinding and really trying to make a name for themselves in this scene and doing a pretty good job at it.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's very fun to see the continuation of, the Theo-led roster, Starbound as well, coming into this one. Last event for them was quite good, I would say. Getting that second place, not quite being able to challenge Shopify, but this is a team that will grow with time. This is a team that has a lot of experience coaching, like behind them coaching and all that. So there's definitely something to be said about this team making a run for the international at the end of the year.
I definitely agree with Bala, and I echo the sentiment that, you know, it's a team that is going to continuously do better every single time. If you're looking at even the thought process of how FlyQuest Red came together was a combine that actually FlyQuest put together, right? So there was actually, I think, 20 to 25 players that trialed out in a combine format, and then they picked the best out of the best, not necessarily in terms of always skill, but how the best 5 would mesh together under, you know, some coaching staff of Jovi and for King Fred, and how they're going to gel and then just keep on doing better. So it's nice to see that they're consistently second right now in all these open qualifiers that they have, but they need that little extra right now, and I think that's that team synergy that needs that time in order to be that top dog.
I mean, we have so many excellent individual players on that team. We have Dodonut, who is the current record holder in the GC circuit of having the most kills. I believe it is 47 on a single map, and that is insane. She's an excellent duelist, but I would love to bring up Lace, who, if you guys don't know, Lace is on, obviously we saw the graphic, is on FlyQuest Red, but she has been dealing with a pretty serious wrist injury. I'm just going to read what she sent to me earlier today. She says that she has a lot of inflammation and weakness in her wrist. She's been trying to rest and strengthen her hand for over the past couple of months. She's been able to reduce some of the inflammation, but after a few games, it can flare up. So it's been pretty delicate balance between overuse and trying to strengthen her hand. And also she wants people to remind everyone to take breaks and stretch before it gets too bad. So,
yeah.
But Lace wasn't playing with the team for a little bit because she needed to rehab her and rest her injured hand. And now she's been slowly coming back into the fold, as you can see. And obviously she's playing with the team today, which is super exciting. And Bala, this is kind of a chance for Lace to say, while I am injured, while I am rehabilitating, I'm able to still play. I'm able to still play at the highest level that you all know me to play at.
Yeah, absolutely. And so that kind of speaks to the potential skill level of the team overall, since they weren't there all the time. So you could see this potentially increase, because Lace, in my mind, has been a standout player all the way back to the time on complexity, and I think kind of makes this team, obviously not maybe a super team level like a Shopify or something like that, but this is a combination of some of the best players on all the different teams from last year and years prior. So Lace is definitely one of the contributing factors, if not one of the biggest contributing factors.
Lace is the embodiment of good vibes as well for a team, right? So despite sometimes when the results are not the best, even if they in times where they lose, Lace would always have that positive mentality for the team, and I think that's definitely going to be notable right now with her coming back into the roster. Into the open qualifiers for the second one and the first one, I think it was Kara that actually subbed into that, and it was like a 1-for-1 sub of what roles she had to play versus Lace that had to go through healing up the injury and then going through, I don't know if she did surgery or not, but it doesn't really matter at that point. But Kara did her job, and then now Lace has an opportunity to come back and also continue to bring that positive mentality for a team overall, especially when it comes down to these hectic moments in these mid events for the game changers. Sorry.
And Bala, you were talking about it a bit earlier, I believe. They have a very good chance to make it to champs with those points that they have been collecting.
Yeah.
So, and then that was a really awesome opportunity because now obviously Series 2, first place is worth more points. So they can really help solidify their chance to make it to the championship.
Yeah. And it's very important, I think, for a team like this to start to continue to grow and continue to be at the top echelon of the teams in Game Changers. Because if you struggle in the middle, we've seen a lot of teams be like the de facto, the challengers, the ones who are going to be second place at Shopify, or if not beat them, and they falter in the Series 2, right? The second stage of Game Changers in this case. That's where we're at right now. So FlyQuest really, needs to double down on their performance in Series 1.
I believe. I'm always very impressed by them. They have some of my favorite players in the Game Changer scene. And so I love watching them play. So I'm super excited. But in order to watch them play, they have a team to face, and that is Solstice. Solstice is a really interesting team because they, just looking at this roster, they have so many, kind of people you may not know, but people you're like, oh, I think I know that name. Like Scary Shark, that might ring a bell, and people might be like, oh, I think I know who that is. You know who that is because Scary Shark competed on EGGC for a while. And kind of these people, if you aren't, super paying attention, you might not know them. But these are all super heavy hitters, super impressive players, Vansily.
Yeah, definitely. If I'm looking at this roster, to be honest with you, outside of Scary Shark, it's a team that's a little bit more unknown, right? Even if you're looking at past histories of how they came about, what events they played, there's actually limited information about this roster overall. They only kind of came together in this second Game Changers, playing Open Qualifier 1 to Open Qual number 3, but every single Open Qualifier has seen some ups and downs, but on a positive way when it was always back up in terms of how they finished, how many points they've gained, and how they were performing. If you're actually looking at their roster as well, they do have a coaching staff behind it too, so it almost looks like a full free agent team. Again, I think I'm thinking back to Supernova Galaxy that had this whole roster with Trollman, and they're looking for opportunities to get picked up and to prove their worth, just like Teddy Tactics, for example, as well, right? Through the thick and thin, you're playing basically these events as a part-time job potentially if work in school is going to be the forefront for now, and you're just putting those hours in to have an opportunity to get that dream opportunity to play into a Game Changers champs event or whatnot. But Scary Shark definitely is a great addition, though, to the Solstice team, just due to the fact that, she's already played, as you mentioned before, for EG at Game Changers champs in Brazil, did a great job. I think she could play a lot of different roles, too. For EG, she was mainly playing that duelist, but then in other moments where she's rang over for Game Changers, I remember her playing like a Viper on Lotus, for example. Killer with the Guardian, which I would probably call her Scary Shark as Killer Shark now in terms of how good she is with just firepower. So that adds a lot to our roster as well.
Did you just call her Skiller Shark because she's skilled?
Killer Shark.
Killer Shark.
Still works too.
I was like, that's the most dad joke you could have gotten.
Of course.
But speaking of Scary Shark, aka Nora, she is a beast in the server. She is someone who, when you watch, she is just cold and calculated and absolutely insane at what she does when she plays. If I were in the server with her, I would be terrified. Looking at these stats from Series 2, altogether, these are some extremely impressive stats. Team player, getting the frags, but also Bala just really being an impact player in the server.
Yeah, and there's a reason why it ended up being that sub for EG last year. noticed last year, and that's kind of the point here. I think for Solstice, it's a lot of players that haven't yet been noticed, but have been around for a long time in the open qualifiers, right? There's a lot of those types, and Scary Shark, I think, is one of those players. Just by the fact that they subbed at the end of the year doesn't necessarily mean they're up at that level. But I think when you're playing on a team, when you've actually made it, these are the types of teams with a player like Scary Shark who's had experience on LAN, that sort of thing, that can all of a sudden hit a switch, right? And so I'm looking at Scary Shark, I'm looking at their performance, maybe in the open qualifiers, 208 ACS. I'm not seeing them as like the top of the top in the stats or anything like that. Based on their role, it could be different, but the thing that I'm looking at is the fact that they are experienced, the fact that this is a team that suddenly, if they get a couple wins, maybe one or two in the upper bracket, lower bracket, they could go on a run. It's all about chemistry. It's all about vibes in some cases, and not necessarily saying that they're going to win an event or anything like that. But these little runs add up, especially when we were talking about the points earlier on.
Yep.
That anchor on that team is so important, especially when these teams have faced each other before. FlyQuest Red and Solstice have faced each other before in terms of competition. Obviously, during the open qualifier, they faced each other, and the scoreline then was, as you can see, that it will be coming up right now, extremely close.
Yeah.
This is back and forth that was happening, and it shows that, like, obviously, again, talking about that parity I was talking about earlier, Bala, that, these teams in this competition are just as good as one another.
Absolutely. I mean, Mel's words are gospel. Free agent teams cannot be slept on. And I think this doesn't bode great for FlyQuest. Not necessarily in this match. I think they're going to come into this with a decent amount of confidence, a decent amount of understanding about how Solstice is going to play, and with the coaching staff as experienced as FlyQuest is, that kind of gives them a heads up advantage, I think, in terms of prep, in terms of the sorts of things you can change from matchup to matchup. But with that being said, right, this is a rematch for FlyQuest. I'm looking at this scoreline and I'm thinking, man, this is against a free agent team in the open qualifiers. Man, this was qualifier 3 for FlyQuest to have to make it through. That's a scary sign for them making it deep in the tournament right now.
100%. And then now it's recency, right, in terms of the series that they played. So maybe it was only a couple of weeks back. So if it goes back to this rematch and we're seeing similar maps, this could be an opportunity here for Solstice to get something done. But also, when you're looking at the last matchup, though, they still had Raven in that roster. So it's a roster that's been going back and forth a bit in terms of Solstice as a whole, but it's always the main core that now finishes here in the main event. The only bigger question is now are there going to be any like role issues going in right now in terms of, Norris coming in, and then they brought the other player back. So I don't think it's going to be an issue there, just because Nora, we've talked about it, she's so good at being a flex agent and a flex player. So if she needs to play smokes for the team and the rest of the strategy for Solstice stays pretty much intact, it'll still look pretty good as a whole.
Yeah, I think implementation of Scary Shark with a new player, I think it's super crucial from a structural and planning perspective in this case. And so we'll see. I mean, Map 1's going to tell us a little bit about it, exactly how the roles are going to play out, exactly how the implementation is going to go. I'm very excited to see what Solstice is going to bring out here.
Vance, I'd love to get your opinion on this.
Yeah.
I am a big believer in failure being your biggest teacher. Obviously, those are very close score lines, but when you have a map as close as that, who do you think learns from that more? Is it the winner or the loser?
I feel like it's definitely the loser at this point, especially if it comes down to being a free agent team, right? When you have that drive of like, hey, we almost made it, we almost beat this team, and we can actually check the tape to figure out what happened and what went wrong. It gives you way more drive to really try to perfect your play style going to the next time that you have an opportunity for a rematch. I think you come in with more fire, and especially when you want to prove a point against your opponents. This gives a great opportunity for Solstice to say, hey, look at us, pick us up. We could do this against one of the top teams here in Game Changers in North America.
And those players, I'm sure, are hungry. The wait between Series 1 and Series 2 and qualifiers, they've been waiting to play, they've been waiting to get their revenge, if you will. And we do have the map picks and bans ready. I know y'all of you in chat are waiting for the game. I see you, but we do have them ready for you here. We have Lotus, Split, and Sunset. Looking at the bans. Pretty interesting to see that the maps that they played, I believe, in that last open qualifier are not being played.
Yeah, Bind of Descent were those ones
yes.
before. And I think when you have 2 weeks, maybe even like 2.5 weeks between the last time they played and this time, this is a time where I think when you think about like how they're adjusting and whatnot, I think both teams should be going straight back to just like working on themselves, working on the like expanding their map pools and stuff like this. So I'm not drawing too much into this, but I am seeing maps that are not really super puggable. So when you think about implementing a player like Nora, Scary Shark into the map, into the fray, these ones are ones where it's really going to have to be thought out, right? It's really going to have to think about the game plan, where you're going, what types of fights you're favoring, those sort of things. Because yeah, these maps are not very puggable. I favor FlyQuest here.
Yeah, I agree with you. But what I like, at least if you want to have some hope for Solstice, is that it was their map pick to pick up Lotus first. And again, I do remember seeing at some point, unless it's like a Mandela effect for me, but I do remember seeing Scary Shark playing a Viper on this map and popping off and also doing highlight reels for a team to carry in these clutches. So at least when it comes down to firepower, great. But also when you're playing like a default map that has like 3 sites and you can default a lot, then it gives you a chance for like individual players or a buddy system to get way more value than these coordinated site hits that you kind of need to do when you're trying to pop. But overall though, going back on the other end, I do agree with Bala that when you're looking at Lotus, Sunset, those are the go-to maps as well for FlyQuest Red outside of Ascent, for example. And FlyQuest also came out with adjusting their compositions too. When they first played Sunset, they brought out a Harper in there, which didn't look too great in the hands of Thea, but then they're adding a little bit more with that Breach, playing a little bit more meta these days around these times, and also being able to pop more with coordination. So again, when it comes down to that type of play style, then you're probably going to see that more in favor of FlyQuest for both Split and Sunset.
Bala, when you see maps like these and you have like, teams like Solstice and FlyQuest Red, do you stick with agent comps that, are tried and true meta, or do you kind of maybe get a little innovative with it, throw in a Deadlock, throw in a Clove? What would you err on the side of?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know where the meta is landing right now in practice, right? I'm not privy to the scrims of those teams, but I think with the amount of time between events that Game Changers has, it gives them the privilege of working on some of these things. So I could definitely see some of those being thrown in, right? Especially a Clove, not necessarily a Deadlock, especially on Lotus. We've seen some good Deadlock play at the pro level, but yeah, there it is. I mean, there's the Clove.
Read like a book.
That's awesome. No, that's really awesome. And I think, especially on a level of Solstice, on the Game Changers level in general, I think Clove could be super impactful, despite what the top level pros at Master Shanghai are doing at all. I think Clove definitely is something that could give you an advantage in this tournament.
Yeah, and sorry, Liz, just to piggyback on that too, the Clove, but also Solstice pulling out that Viper on Scary Shark, right? So some of the times they're saying, oh, maybe you're playing single controller, it's not easy to work things out there, especially if you're going to use Clove as your controller. Let's say the Clove loses their lives on that C site, then you can't pop towards A. Well, at least you have that opportunity now with Scary Shark to actually set that default wall for lurks and for hits on towards that A side. But they are starting on the defensive side first, which if you're looking at this comp, it's still really good in oppressing on how you could play this Viper and the Killjoy together and then just have like that Clove metal and smoke and hold a different area. So I think on paper they come out with a comp that they're comfortable playing with, and I think they're still going to be pretty good looking at against FlyQuest.
Yeah, and I think looking at FlyQuest's comp, right, it's very standard. It's kind of what I expect from the coaching staff of FlyQuest. They love to really just pick out some of the best things that they see from the higher levels, and they try to implement it to a high level themselves, right? That's where you can optimize the best type of way. I'm not going to fault them for doing that, but I would like to see a little bit of diversity, a little bit of ingenuity on their own ends as this tournament continues.
Well, friends.
Yeah, sorry.
No,
I lagged down to my brain. I was like, I felt like I was going to say something. But no, just to add to what Bala was saying, I think it's just now still using a Sky though on Sonder, right? So they are using their best agent in their best element, but I feel that there's potentially missing a bit here, not adapted to that meta that Bala was talking about, where they're using still a Sky instead of trying to get a Fade in there.
Well, now, friends, we have been waiting for a while, and you've been very patient for weeks and weeks and weeks, and we are so excited to give you FlyQuest Red versus Solstice, but it won't be us. It'll be some of the best people in the business. It is Athena and Shift on the mic casters. The game is in your hands. Please take it away.
Can we put that on our resume?
Yeah.
Best people in the universe? Whoa! Pong champion.
I'm gonna write that down. I'm quoting Liz for reference.
I love that. Well, let's shift. I've got Queen Athena here with me. This is gonna be a fun one here, friend, because yeah, I think there's a lot of expectations to see what Solstice could do. I think in particular, there is a little bit of, history between these two squads playing in one of the close qualifiers like we saw, 13-10, 13-10. That one was closer than I think people would have anticipated from the get-go. So hopefully we have something similar on board for us here.
Yeah, I feel like this is going to be a banger map starting out on Lotus, especially for both these teams. They've had good performances, and I'm so excited because this was a map that Fly almost beat SR on. And I just think that that is insane. But putting this into perspective, we do have a Clove. It is a little bit weirder to play against a different comp. And so I'm just excited to see how this is going to turn out. We have just so far a default setup from FlyQuest starting on their attack side. They do have two going towards that front B to kind of hold some sort of noise, but this is going to be a banger map for sure.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. We've seen Clove kind of step into the challenger space, a little bit of the VCT space over the last couple of weeks, and really it kind of just feels like, the comps that we've seen it be used on before is like, hey, it's still your choice of controller and your choice of initiator as well, the difference between the Gecko being used instead of the Sky, but yeah, the utility that it brings to the picture can be very casual in terms of being able to open up sites. So early Nanostorm going to get popped. Alarm bot deleted. FlyQuest looking like they're primed and ready to go over towards C here, Athena.
Yep, the hit starts, and Scary Shock actually getting that first pick, putting a lot of pressure, denying a lot of these entries, getting two, but the trades coming in so fast, and Fly capture that C site.
Not bad, though. Heck of a debut for Scary Shock after all this setup in the pre-show. Dizzy deleted over towards Waterfall. Side paint shells will blow up. At least some of the aim go over towards ramps, and then, honestly, Sabubu just runs in as bait. Able to set things up for Melia, and then the final kill comes through for Sabubu. That's going to be a fun name to say all day long. Solstice take the pistol, and a great opener from Scary Shark.
That was a really, really good hold. Straight off of the molly, breaking all the KJ util. We saw Scary Shark call for some util. They threw their molly, their Viper molly, and delayed for so long with that orb that they managed to do some vulnerability damage and get 2 kills. That was really, really well planned. But I wonder if, for me personally, when playing Sky, that's the issue. Sometimes if you just don't hit those flashes, it's kind of impossible with that solo initiator. So I'm just wondering, if this happens again, are they going to be able to fix their C-hold? But again, it is just the pistol round.
Yeah, because it's not even just the fact that you're relying on the Sky for the ability to kind of statusly affect the site. You're also looking at that as an opportunity to scout your information as well. So if you don't see anything, you also don't flash. Yeah, you're absolutely right. It kind of comes up 0 for 2. Opening first blood, good. Of course, weapon advantage here for the side of Solstice. So you would anticipate things to go pretty casually, especially with just classics being used. I wouldn't say invested into, since we don't even really have any light armors purchased as well. So FlyQuest is trying to do some eco damage here in round 2.
Yeah, farming those orbs is going to be really important. You can see they're kind of breaking util towards that B site, but it doesn't really phase Solstice. And I feel like so far Solstice have a solid understanding of what's kind of going to go down and what their protocols are. Just letting this whole team out onto that B site is perfect. Elaborate does get to call the plant, but not much happening, and pushing towards that upper, getting 3.
It's the most beautiful sense of timing you've ever seen. Plant does go through, but just the single elimination onto Elaborate, who does just kind of sneak up behind the play. Like you said, it's kind of, yeah, we'll let you have a little bit of an opportunity to get on towards B, but the full retakes around absolutely perfect. And we're going to have a pretty true bonus here for Solstice going into round number 3. But with the purchase, no investment, FlyQuest should be pretty much at full purchase.
Yeah, I think Solstice looking pretty solid, not really wavering too much. We do have a default coming in from FlyQuest's side. The setup isn't really going to change that much. However, we are going to see the Viper and KJ set up towards that A site. So they are going to be playing 4A. And they do have the Bulldog and the Spectre towards C. And I think... Oh, they're switching it up. They're switching up. They're planning to do some sort of play. Raze is going to peek towards this front C.
Well, Sentry Turret up above here for the offensive FlyQuest just to make sure there is no aggressive shoulder peek. Dizzy up and over. That gets shot by 1, and yep, you called that perfectly, Athena. Marceline trying to get the angle, shut down Starbound right there waiting for it, and they will get first blood for FlyQuest for the first time.
Yeah, they're going to get that info, but now you actually see Solstice has to rotate those 2 players towards C because they don't have that line anymore. They either need to retake it or full rotate. But we actually have KJ holding this cross with the Outlaw. Might be able to catch off FlyQuest and get a hint of what they're trying to do.
Well, nothing's in on the initial cross. We also have nearby Scary Shark ready to go. Door will pop open. Scary Shark primed, ready to go as the Trailblazer gives away some intentions. Yeah, good timing. Snake White placed, but off through the Poison Cloud. Saunders able to find the elimination. With that, FlyQuest on their horses, ready to go right into the waiting arms of Elaborate, who's trying to hold off with the Outlaw. First shot hits, but it's not enough for the elimination. 5v2 situation.
Yep, the pivot to B is such a good call too, because they know the Gecko was there with that flash. Clovis here, Amelia ready to get a pick, but SB just ready, holding that down. And now 5v1, looking like a flawless round for Fly. Not that many kills for, or not that many orbs for the bonus from Soul. I mean, you're always kind of looking like when you're on that bonus to get at least 1 or 2 guns, and make it a little bit more economical for them. But Fly playing that round perfectly. They got that C pick. They denied the info. They played the rotations really well. Overall, really good round.
And let's be candid, I think we're going to see something like that from FlyQuest in terms of countering the early C pick, just because, let's be candid, Gecko in the mix, you anticipate that that's going to be kind of a set play more often than not, just trying to at least catch info, if not trying to take an aggressive challenge. But we'll see how Solstice try to adjust, especially now that they're in full purchase. This will be probably more indicative of what they're actually trying to pull. And how about this, dude? We got a 3-man stack at the defensive barriers, looking for maybe an A hit quickly.
For sure, they're fighting for that A raise. Oh, just missing that Rebel satchel, but it doesn't matter because they do have the full A line. Dodonut actually taking quite a bit of damage towards that front B, but they are going to be farming those orbs via getting an orb, and they do have Sky Alt up as well. So they could just end in some sort of C hit here, but probably going to be breaking those mollies first since they have the full A line. Fly needs to do something about pushing it back.
Yeah, it's really curious because you got the Dizzy in hand and you look like it's Marceline just wanted to take an extra step in towards A. This is fine right now. Lace is still watching this, but the hit over towards C being delayed just a touch here. Poison Cloud up and over. You've got Nanostorms that are a little bit deeper in sight than on the front door. So 50 seconds on the clock, all but alert killed through mid. Lace also follows up, and now Solstice have been caught trying to rotate back over to C.
Yeah, really good re-clear at A with this lurk from Lace. Viper doing a really good job of getting their hold, and now it's looking like they're just in a full charge to
Sabubu just trying to step up, seeing if they could go multiple for their own life, only getting 1 though. So 4v2 situation. Elaborate does get into sight. An opportunity to catch a couple of sound keys. Perfect shots on the first. A shoulder tag at a Starbound where the trade will be confirmed. Scary Shark still trying to deal damage, but the 1v3 just too much to deal with as FlyQuest will go 2 in a row.
Yeah, this is looking... That first gun round was just a little bit hard for Solstice. They need to be aware of the re-clears. I feel like they had a really good setup towards A, getting that deep A line, but maybe just because the Rays couldn't make it onto Rebel, they unfortunately couldn't hold it down. Sabubu had a good first kill, and Library also trading that in, and they had this side kind of re-clear almost there, but they just weren't ready with that front B pick and that A lurk pick. It just crumbled Solstice.
And the thing about it, it really did feel like Solstice's defensive setup at C was going to receive that hit and at least trade out evenly, if not maybe get away with maybe more than what you would have anticipated. But obviously things go a bit awry, like you mentioned, to the middle of the map, and now we're just on Sheriffs. Maybe an opportunity for something on an opening pick with this 3-man stack towards C, and flashes come through. They're also trying to get the freeze in, but it's not going to happen. Look at the metal was just a little bit too short, and FlyQuest will read the hit and back off.
Yep, Fly actually knew something was going to happen towards C. They played that really good passively, but unfortunately Dodo lurking towards that front B alone gets picked off, and now Elaborate going to hold this 1v4.
But does get caught, door opening around them after the first blood was, I would say, very fortunately taken by Solstice. They were going to be late on the rotation back over towards A. Melia does have the Vandal in play, plus maybe the opportunity of a not dead yet if they could get involved, but as Sabubu drops, it looks like the majority of this retake will just come down to what economical damage we can keep going forward with if you're Solstice. Looking for maybe one more last little opportunity to try to isolate an angle. Marceline being used a little bit as bait here on just 5 HP. Not able to find Thea in the corner, and that will likely be about it for this round with Melia stuck in a 1v3.
Yep, 2 guns down. It's an okay eco. I think getting one more would be the best. Melly actually waiting for some sort of exit, some sort of peek, but they don't know that Sandra is right behind them.
A couple of footstep sounds come through. Does give maybe a chance at this, but too quick on the corner was FlyQuest and Sandra in particular. So now 3 rounds straight. Solstice, of course, just off the Sheriffs. This will be where things start to get interesting. Got a lockdown available. Got the not dead yet available. And you're starting to get relatively close to things like Showstopper on the other side. So this is where we anticipate some fireworks really coming to light.
Yeah, FlyQuest has been doing a job of putting a lot of pressure towards front B, but Solstice did a good job of shutting it down that last round, even though they were on an eco. So I'm wondering if Solstice is going to kind of alter their plan to get some sort of A pressure and fall back and re-clear that B line, because I feel like they just need to be more active with this re-clearing scenarios.
Ooh, well, the flex pick of the op in the hands of Starbound is always something to keep your eyes on. And with the sentry turret clearing out the corner, now it's just kind of hard scoping the angles. There's the nanostorm once again, just trying to get any utility deleted. And the one over towards the backside of Seed really does not come through. So the Trailblazer is in. Jotanaut up and over, but dealt with Scary Shark on this corner has been great to this point. Tries to deny the flash. Is good for a second, almost a third, and actually will confirm 3 straight eliminations. So great hold again by Scary Shark.
Oh my god, what a hold indeed. I mean, none of this util is reaching Scary Shark in that back corner on elbow. It's just not looking too hot. These C executes just need to be a little bit more polished, but Sonder.
This is so bold. Oh, the check though! Sabubu just runs and guns! I can only imagine the panic on their screen of the Spidey senses tingling and whoop, alarm bells, Saunders in our back line. But denies it from being what surely would have been an absolute blow-up, but a moment of confusion here as they have lost track of Lace, who may have a chance to try to plant and extend this 1v3.
For sure, that was actually kind of wild. The patience was there, but Sabubu just had that sixth sense, and now Lace gonna try to make some sort of play. This is a player we've spoken about being somewhat of a star player, being somewhat of someone who can bring and turn the tides on the team, but all 3 players playing together on Solstice, doing this really well. They're going to be retaking this together with the Gecko ult.
Why not?
Keep it safe.
Yep, yeah, why not? I mean, you get it so darn quickly. I like the call. And a great opportunity here, I think, not just on confirming the 1v3, but it stops you from dealing any more economical damage. You can start to build up the pocketbooks a little bit here for Solstice. A good bounce back after losing 3 in a row. And the conversation around the operator is favorable. So Op will be carried into the next round here for round 7 as well, Athena.
Yeah, I wonder where they're going to set this up. I mean, Elaborate has been doing a good job towards that B and C side, just setting up KJ util, going towards C, I think being able to delay. And I think they know that FlyQuest probably isn't going to hit towards that C because this execute was so rough. Scary Shark just wasn't blind at all, got 3 kills, and the retake was just beautiful from Solstice. And yep, this op is going to be setting up towards C. So, Elaborate just peeking without an op or a flash, but they're going to get the full line. They're going to have some sort of whiff of what's happening here.
Scary Shark once again sniffs out the early hit. Snake bite down, just keeps the pressure away from B for now. Viper's would also call as a gut check reaction. Trailblazer trying to clear. Paranoia also cuts across, but Scary Shark is still right here, fully integral with the smoke. Marceline also joins the battle. Showstopper up and out. Doesn't fully connect, though, and FlyQuest will come away 4 for 2, leaving Melia last one left alive.
Oh my goodness, both teams just fighting on a battleground this round. B was just the zone. Dota going deep, trying to get that pick and actually trading the op out. And now 1v3 Melia. Not much that they can do here because Thea is ready and ends that for Melia. But yeah, that was a crazy round shift. It was so wild. Everyone was so fast at flooding, so fast at reacting and using util to try to get out onto the site.
And I think the thing about it is, you know, and it's just really, really appropriate. I'm sure the analysts are geeking out a little bit the fact that they set up Scary Shark, the storyline around it, and how pivotal has Scary Shark been so far on a number of these hits. I mean, the gut check reaction and the snake bite immediately in the Viper's pit, I think is technically played perfectly. It just comes down to the fact that FlyQuest didn't care. And they're like, yeah, okay, that's fine. You could drop the pit if you want to. We're just going to push right through it. And Marceline Showstopper not quite connecting, maybe a bit of a deterrent towards actually keeping that defense fully held over to that B site.
For sure. It's seeming like FlyQuest just trying to pinpoint these weak points that Solstice is giving, and they've gotten that pick on B before. They've gotten Dodo in front of front B without any util really. So I feel like they understood that round, that they could probably just take it. But again, Scary Shark doing such a great job, great reaction, getting the pit and Molly down, like you said. Really, really well played, but it just wasn't enough. The fast fled, I like the idea, but when you have that Gecko with like the Gecko flash is a little bit limiting. You know, you don't really have as much util as like a Skydog and a flash to follow up. It's just a little bit harder to be able to get out and like kind of push your team towards that. But, you know, I think they did a good job, Solstice, at flooding. I think that's what their plan is, because they are playing off B. They're playing a little bit more retake-y towards that. So just execution-wise, I think they did it. It was just the shots didn't connect.
Yeah, maybe an opportunity, you know, in retrospect, you know, they'll go back, look at the VOD, maybe we commit the lockdown there to help out if we know the commitment's on B.
Yeah.
Hard to say, right? It's like 6 of one, half a dozen of another. You know, hindsight being 2020, insert other cliche here. But, you know, things looking decent for FlyQuest in terms of not just mitigating the damage and the chaos, but also now the economical advantage. And there seemed to be a pretty heavy read that there has been a stack at C Mount. So a quick sprint over towards the A site, and you're going to get a double up here between Elaborate and Scary Shark, both with Sheriffs trying to hold off.
We've seen Scary Shark do work, and now both these players fighting for their life. The Nano so good to delay, but Dodo using their ult to kind of take the site, and now they have a free site, but Dodo Scary Shark is right behind them.
Yeah, honestly speaking, Scary Shark could be a huge deterrent to this offensive post plant. Now the question here, with the lockdown being committed, is will this actually turn into anything? And at the same rate, these defenders from the front actually also have to get involved quickly. There's the first from Scary Shark, maybe a chance to retrieve the rifle. FlyQuest holding on cross-cut angle. Starbound up top as Marceline is able to find one before the entry comes through. Now you got the wingman. Little buddy starts to come through, but the spam through the smoke is all landing for FlyQuest. Melia, once again, a very, unfortunately, familiar situation. 1v3, a recovered rifle, so maybe a chance to play for exits, but FlyQuest are going to get the round.
Almost too expensive of a round. I mean, we have Lace needing to buy some armor, and we have those two ults, the lockdown and the raise ult, kind of being expended on that A site. But, you know, it was kind of a winning condition for them to take that side and being able to take those fights and just lock it down. But Solstice now back on their gun round. I mean, both these players doing such a good job and always trying to hold it down. The Killjoy and the Viper doing such great work using their mollies. We saw the Nano that you mentioned as well, delaying for so long, at least taking some sort of damage. They're just so good reactionary. It's just a matter of getting these shots to hit as well as having the right reads.
Yeah.
Now we're going to see Solstice back to kind of taking that A line.
And this is the important part of this first half. You know, you've gotten the pistol and the follow-up plus one recovery round, but now you start to need to do some damage on the defensive side here for Solstice. Lace, good first blood, followed up, though. Scary Shark able to put together the trade. Marceline playing it off angle in the corner, but not to be deterred. Elaborate, still on the cross. Good, gets one on the exit. We'll stay 3v3. Lockdown immediately got check called. And decision time here for FlyQuest. Are you going to try to push through this? Elaborate is guarding against it. That turns into a second elimination. Plus Melia on the pinch. It's so damn good for Solstice. They get their fourth.
Oh my god, another crazy battle round. I mean, we saw FlyQuest start with such a fast-paced heading towards C, Dodo satcheling all the way towards that front C, but then clearing out Marceline on those boxes. Everything seemed set up a little bit too well for Solstice, but the mollies pushing players out of the way was just so unfortunate. But then they just brought it back because every single player on the team was so fast to rotate and flood into that site that everything was played amazingly. And Elaborate, again, doing such a good job at delaying.
I mean, we're seeing great stuff out of both Elaborate and Scary Shark to this point. And how about this? We've got Chaos here over towards the A site. Opening burst works out really for both teams. None worse for the wearer, but Sabubu still pushing forward. And now Scary Shark follows up. The kills are so clean. Headshot after headshot. Scary Shark for 3, and Solstice right back to a tie game through 10.
That was insane round from Scary Shark. Those shots were clean, brother. Ooh. But yeah, Solstice doing an amazing job. They finally got the gamble right. I was just talking about that last round. They got the gamble right. They fought towards that A side, and they found the Lace. They found the rest of the team, and they were not scared of pushing and punishing the retake.
Wow. I mean, this has been impressive for Solstice. No, there was that little battle in the power rankings discussion between Vansili and Bala about, do you put FlyQuest in second, do you put him in third? Right now, Solstice is exposing just a little bit. This is their map selection, so keep that in the back of your mind. But a great defensive set of rounds, and now all of a sudden you've got another gut check call over towards A-Mount. Good reaction from Melia. Plus, of course, right back into the action. Ultimate going to be spent for it. Door will close, at least for now, but you can see Melia just wants to try to find some sort of a connection. The Thrash will land on the both players. Awkward moment, but the kill does get collected, and now a 1v3.
Yeah, this is looking a little rough. All three players on Solstice are spread out though. Sabubu kind of holding down the mound, maybe overstaying, but as soon as I say that, they managed to fall back into C. Now Lace in this 1v3.
Yeah.
I mean, that round could have gone so well for Fly, but they decided to retake when knowing that Solstice was playing a heavy pushed up C. The Sky Flash just wasn't enough to do it. I feel like they need to use a lot more of their util, and Solstice just has such a good way of reacting with their protocols with that Gecko mine.
Top of that, the Gecko also finding value with the wingman. Lace position will be realized. And on the corner, Sabubu. Good gracious. Phantom gameplay coming through nicely for the side of Solstice. 6-5 and a handful in a row here for Solstice's defense. Chance to possibly put this thing away cleanly. You've got a showstopper nearby. Just the Viper's pit here for Lace, and a bit of a broken buy situation here for FlyQuest after dropping 3 in a row.
Yeah, their game plan is going to have to be to take the site and play on that post plan. But the problem is getting that early fight. I feel like FlyQuest does such a better job when they're playing a lot slower, trying to bait out these rotations, trying to break KJ utility, but instead they're kind of trying to up the pace a little bit, trying to react really quick, and Solstice is just doing such a good job at having their protocols a lot faster and more ready for Fly.
And I think the thing too is it's not just like response protocols. There's some great proactive game call going on for Solstice, taking away both A and C in consecutive rounds. So FlyQuest just going to kind of feel out the map here. 2-2-1 split. Spike going to be left just behind the C hit over towards Mound. And this is all about seeing if FlyQuest can establish some pressure, and that is not the way you normally draw it up, but you'll take it if you're FlyQuest. Good response though on the other side. Keeps us 4v4, and Melia's got to read that there are a couple of players who have gotten into B.
Lace being a little aggressive on that A, but Marceline with 2 with the showstopper, bringing it up to 3 kills, and Melia just cleaning up Sandra, and SV left in another 1v3. That was a crazy ult.
That showstopper just went nuclear. I mean, that thing...
My showstopper doesn't do that.
It was funny. You'll appreciate this. I was casting challengers with Vans last week. He's like, that showstopper for you, sometimes it does 400 damage, sometimes it does 4 damage. That time, it did 400 without question. And we swapped the sides after 4 in a row for Solstice, back over to the pistol on their offensive attempt.
Yeah, that half was so good from Solstice. It felt like every single plan, they had a reaction. And I feel like a little bit where FlyQuest potentially fell off a little was never having that backup plan towards A, because even though Lace had the aggressive lurk, sometimes it would work out and sometimes it really wouldn't. And it felt like they lost a lot of their A. Kind of map control, but now Solstice on the attack, starting off heavy with some information towards C, and 3 players of Fly are just gonna walk up with the Sky Flash, but they don't catch anything, just the KP turret. That should be enough info to get Solstice to speed up.
Yeah, and there is a tag also on the Lace in the same breath. So with the damage dealt to FlyQuest at mid, most of the heal for Sonder was used initially just to get everyone else back to full health around mid. But again, the rotation to C is good. Everyone back to at least 100 points worth of natural health. Trailblazer just to make sure there's nothing over towards C mounted. Honestly, it only sees 1. That doesn't really give you a ton of info, but the defense is going to hold to its ground here over towards C and step into the dark cover. Flashes out. Marceline in the corner. Tough gunfight. FlyQuest getting proactive, and it works out for a 2-for-1 exchange.
The reclear towards C was so important because look at where Scary Shark is. They're all the way up towards that A line. They have so much info, breaking that KG turret and now getting all the way into stairs. 2 players following up, but Fly is so fast to rotate here.
Still, though, an opportunity for the wingman possibly to get to work. Denied. Starbound still waiting inside the dark cover, waiting for an opportunity to jump out. Speaking of jumping out, how about jumping in? Thea just bounding in towards mid stairs, and that's going to work out for the right click plus the follow-up from the rest of FlyQuest. So what initially looked like a really solid read from Solstice, it's FlyQuest who just make the gut check call, play through C-Mound on the reclear, and that works out in their favor.
Yeah, this secondary re-clear, not only just re-clearing at the beginning with that flash and trying to fight, but they actually re-cleared through the orb again. They were not worried. They knew that there was something up, that people were still there. And the second that they knew that there was either going to be a lot of people, they were ready to fight, or there wasn't going to be anyone. And that information would have enabled the rotates. And now 5 players from Solstice up in this round, going to be walking up towards that B, going to try to make something happen as a group on this eco.
Alarm bot is in their way, just on the corner. See also on the long cross with Lace, waiting for the Dizzy to expire, or at least trying to. Great reveal starting to come through, but actually it's Solstice who get the first elimination. Trailblazer, just to confirm, it's just actually a hit over towards B. And they will get at least a lot of intel that there are players nearby. Thea just steps right back through the glow of smoke, but Scary Shark again, just back and forth. The teeter-totter of this round continues to turn up in favor of Solstice. Spike planted, Starbound by themselves. Outlaw in hand. You don't want to use too much of this ammunition to clear out utility, but can they find an opportunity to actually get into the danger zone here? First shot just a bit awry. Ghost out will only find one. And how about Scary frickin' Shark? Right clicking away with the classic. Get Solstice to bounce back on the second round of the half.
Yeah, that was crazy. Solstice were so solid on their plan. They knew what they wanted to do. They knew how they wanted to aggress. They didn't even force the attack too many times. They waited and waited until all the retail was kind of done and thrown from Fly. And Scary Shark being such a standout player for this team right now. I mean, 17-8. This is a crazy scoreline to have.
Yeah.
And you're playing Viper and you're the sub. You're the newest addition to this roster.
Unreal stuff. Talk about a debut, though, for Scary Shark. Getting it done in every form of the phrase. This is a different look, though, for FlyQuest. Again, the eco has swapped hands, so a couple of the sheriffs and a ghost for FlyQuest as they try to just walk up a long, and Scary Shark is not interested. Get out of my house! Unreal stuff. All 4 will fall, and Starbound just has to try to rotate over to see what they could do with the sheriff.
Yeah, I feel like earlier the desk was kind of talking about how Lotus can't really be that much of a puggy map. I feel like Solstice right now has such a solid hold on what they want to do and how they want to play around these rounds. On their defense side, their rotates were good. Their retakes were okay. I mean, there's definitely a lot of improvements that could be made for both sides of these teams. But they look so good when they know how to retake. They are not scared to fight. Feels like FlyQuest might be falling back onto, hey, we need some sort of util in order to do this. We need to do this a certain way.
Yeah.
They're kind of forgetting the fundamentals of like, hey, just shoot back and you might be able to win. And now Solstice just taking advantage of that and running away with it.
Oh, and that's the thing, too, is like as much as you could sit there and, you know, come away with a couple of vulnerabilities, maybe a couple of misplays or split decisions that don't quite go their way, Solstice isn't just playing good default setups here. They're getting proactive. They're finding good responses to FlyQuest, trying to do the same thing. And honestly speaking, over the course of the last 6-7 total rounds, the trend and the pattern has turned up in favor of Solstice. So need a response for FlyQuest, especially here as really everyone's on full guns. Opening trades decent, but Pinstripe goes the kill feed, and we're going to go to a 3v3.
Really quick first kills happening, but the rotate towards A might be a good call for Solstice. As I say that, they're going to be falling back. They know that the KJ was around here somewhere. They did break that alarm bot, and now we have 3 of these Fly players setting up towards A, being ready to rotate towards that B, but Solstice having a good read to go towards C.
Yeah. And again, this is that proactivity coming through. Elaborate just going to lurk over towards mid. Maybe catch one off guard here. I mean, Dodonut's in the vicinity. Lace going to work on the flank, but let's be candid. Lace is going to be out of the picture for a while here, especially if Solstice, pop pit and find a way to get in. And on top of that, to make matters worse for FlyQuest, Elaborate does get the elimination through mid-map, but the Viper's Pit is only just a fake. The problem here is, with that elimination from Lace, this is not going to be an easy re-wrap back. Sabubu off for the plant. Wingman gets denied. Starbound inside the site. Dealt with. Lace doesn't find the timing to come up from behind. Now the clock becoming a bit of an issue. But Sabubu on 13 HP says, come right into my web. I spun it up for you. Finds the headshot on the weird angle. And Solstice get to double digits.
I love the Sabubu crouch hold on the off angle. I feel like that's a nice Sabubu peak, Sabubu angle type thing that's going on. But yeah, Fly splitting up in that 3v3, that's not the best decision. I mean, we had info from Lace going forward, at least keep the other 2 players together. They split up. They did not use the power of friendship when they could have. It feels a little bit lackluster, especially when you know you're going to be giving up that C site. You're going to be playing more retake towards the B, and you have the full line towards A. You just need to be ready for those kind of scenarios. But Solstice just doing an amazing job at running around, finding the holes and the gaps in FlyQuest defense, and just absolutely abusing them. And now Fly is going to be on an eco. They do have marshals or outlaws. I don't know how much this is going to be good for, because they only have the Omen ult. They don't really have that much, but they need to be more proactive. You mentioned Solstice as being so good at being proactive, and I feel like FlyQuest is lacking a little bit. They are proactive, but they have really big tells. And I feel like for this, they just need to be able to be proactive and be a lot quicker with the decisions that they want to make.
No, I absolutely agree with you. And it just looks like, you know, again, the last 4 rounds of the half is, you know, kind of whatever in a way. I don't mean to, you know, mitigate the importance of those 4 rounds. But starting off this half, where you're only getting the pistol win and you get anti-eco'd in round 2, and then you lose your gun round pretty convincingly, let's be honest. Yeah, it just feels like the game plan has not really come to life yet for FlyQuest. So that timeout, I'm sure, was a needed one. Maybe not necessarily to talk about this round in particular, but definitely the next gun round, because you're dealing with 3 sheriffs, 2 marshals. This is pretty much just long-range, point-and-click, shoot-'em-up style here for FlyQuest, trying to get away with one.
Yep, 3 towards front B. They're not going to be pushing way too aggressively. It looks like they're going to be setting up some sort of trap play instead. But Solstice knows this. They're just going to contact up towards A, and Starbound being caught in the open trying to get anything with that Marshall, but falling, and now the full commit execute on A.
Yeah, it's one of those situations, like, you know, rounds like this, high risk, has to be kind of an included part of it. And I will say, over the last couple of months, Little Buddy's technique on planting his spike has gotten A+ for him. Scary Shark, able to find another, and this is just about FlyQuest diving in, seeing what kind of exits they can grab, maybe a couple eliminations. No reason not to go with this and just hold on to Sheriffs and a Marshal. It just comes down to the timing of when you want to do it and the location of where you want to do it. And Solstice just not caught off guard ever, it feels like. I mean, this has been perfect.
I mean, this is what I'm saying, where Solstice is just so ready to take these fights. They're just playing aggressive. They're holding off angles. They're not scared of the 1v1s at all. They're actually trying to force Fly to take these 1v1s, and it is working on their favor. Obviously, it was an eco round. You have a little bit bigger of an ego because you're like, yeah, but Vandal, I can hold this. They did a really good job, Solstice. I mean, just slowly contacting up, being aware that it is an eco. Again, textbook playing. It looks so good from Solstice, and their aggression might be countered this round.
There we go. Just a little bit of a poke for Dodo. Not the double burst, just the single blast pack in order to grab the orb. Gets Dodo just 1 off from a showstopper. That could be an important tool and maybe a needed tool here for FlyQuest, as Solstice have a couple of things to work with. And again, just kind of reading the initial push through A, and just a little bit of noise being critted over towards B just kind of re-splits up this FlyQuest defense just a touch.
Yeah, Fly doing a lot of pressure towards A, but then falling back, not really keeping that pressure, but for good cause, because Sol is going to use some form of util. Sorry, a lot of util to retake this rubble. It is clear, but they really did not have to do that. Good call from Fly to kind of leave that and let them make all the noise. Lace had full C information this whole round, but now Solstice is going to be able to understand that this could fall into an execute, but they're trying to see what's happening and still poking and prodding, and not speeding up too fast.
Yeah, the thing about this for Solstice using all that information is that someone has to open the door, and Elaborate doesn't just do that, she kicks it down. So now all of a sudden, the lurk through B allows the lockdown to be earned. It's going to get the free plant from the wingman, and just when you thought that FlyQuest, all they had to do was stop the wingman from planting at A, now all of a sudden the lurker gets a couple. You lose Dodo not trying to hold on to the site, and you have to save these weapons. There's just no way you go into this 2v5.
For sure. It feels like Fly not really being able to fight up front with their players. It feels like they're getting a lot of the info. They're not really playing around it as much as they normally would. Or they're not really playing around it in a way of like aggressively taking that. And Solstice is just abusing that fact. They're taking the fights. They're retaking together, re-clearing. Even if they use util, their shots are on point right now, so it doesn't really matter. They don't need it to execute. They can just run in and shoot. I feel like they're doing such a great job. And now, match point. We have 4 ults online for Fly, though. This should be a round that they could use to win with those winning conditions of ults, but I mean, it's really hard. They need to get a good read on Solstice.
Oh, big time. And the thing about it is, as much as you can sit here and start tallying up the ultimates, I mean, Seekers, okay, cool, nice to have it, but really, in terms of like round-winning ultimates, you just got the Showstopper and the Lockdown, and guess what? Marceline's one off of a Showstopper, and Solstice already have a Lockdown, so we very well may see the battle of Venn diagrams here if both these Showstoppers get pulled here. Lace looking to get some control over towards C-Mound. Again, the purchase is not great for FlyQuest. Showstopper out for Dodo, just re-clearing the backside flank through mid. It's going to put Solstice in a tricky position. Doors swing open, but threading the needle is Dodo not for the first. Paranoia also cuts across C-Mound, where Lace can follow up, and the first 2 eliminations are good for FlyQuest E.
We were just talking about protocols and being aggressive, and Fly full taking that A line and just running it down and fast flanking towards that B is exactly kind of what they needed to bring them back into the momentum of this game. And now 3v5, Solstice not doing anything too crazy, not taking anything too fast, just holding, trying to see if Fly does a mistake that they can capitalize on.
Well, the issue here with the time on the clock is they're going to commit over. Elaborate is initially seen Trailblazer just to reconfirm the info through the poison cloud. I believe saw the Gecko as well, so looks like FlyQuest are just going to kind of hold their ground and try to receive this hit. Solstice, if you find a pick, there is an opportunity to still use a lockdown. Elaborate looking for an opportunity to possibly open the doors here, but once more, the utility just holding back Solstice completely. Snakebite to follow up. Now you're down to the last 18 seconds. It's a desperate push back over towards B, which is being guarded by Thea. Good metal comes through. That's a great decay, but it doesn't matter when you're hitting headshots like that. Melia just going to come back to life, but immediately receives the afterlife pretty convincingly, and that will be a FlyQuest round, only dropping 1 in the process.
That was really well played by Fly. They know that they have to be a lot more aggressive and kind of finding the weakness in Solstice now that they're more likely to be moving together as a group and leaving one lurker, Elaborate generally being the lurker. And they're just abusing that. They're finding where Elaborate is. They're finding where the rest of the team is probably grouping up towards and using that to their advantage. But this round, Solstice looking to change things up a little bit. They do have 2 players trying to set up the operator towards that A.
Yep.
And Fly's actually fighting this.
This could get really interesting. Flash up here now on the cross. Whoa! It's the first shot from Scary Shot, and then the immediate snap from Ella. Sonder still testing. Just playing and tempting the fates here. And that's why you don't do that. Elaborate is not missing. Scary Shark getting it done. I mean, they're playing this round now 2v5 at the moment. Starbound last one left. And what a map this has been from Solstice, of course, pending we don't get a Reddit clip for a 1v5. But the Thrash, the Showstopper, the Lockdown, the Viper's Pit, everything gonna go against Starbound. And the final kill is tallied. 13-7, put everyone on notice. Solstice is up big 1-0 up.
Yep, what a dominant map from Solstice. I mean, they picked this map for a reason, Shift. They just showed us that they have every protocol in the books. They know how to fight together, and they're not scared of taking those 1v1s at all.
Unreal stuff. That is one terrifying fish. Scary Shark leading the charge for Solstice, and that will do it for map number 1 as we toss to a break and have our analysts rejoin us for the recap right after this. Don't go far.
Red Bull gives you wings.